What's up guys, Jez here from Whiskefy and welcome to another episode of WhiskefyTV, that weekly whiskey TV show that you guys tune in for, and I'm opening bottles that your grandpappy's probably got on the shelf, or he doesn't because we're in Australia and we don't get any good bottles. I kid. I love the people that hook us up with bottles, not us really, and hook us up, that's probably not the right word. I pay for all my bottles unless I've done some dirty deeds on the back end, and then, well, I guess that's how we're doing it now. So, now, let us crack into this episode. So, I'm using a weird Whiskefy shirt, and I also have a pin on, if you guys can see that. Pin on. It's good. Now, I'll kind of crack into this by grabbing a glass. Now, we'll get the glass to flick. I love these glasses, they're sick. Now, bottle is Maker's Mark. You guys obviously guessed that by the pin, but we're gonna get into something a little bit fun. Now, I have a bottle of Maker's Mark Private Select Heinemann Sydney 2019. Now, you guys are like, what's Heinemann? Well, I'm not gonna tell you because I'll get into it later. Like that's what we do. So, bottle pop, pour, then we'll get into it. Oh, that wasn't actually that impressive. I was hoping it'd be better, but it would be the corks Maker's Mark use. That's who I'm gonna blame for this. Now, long pour on this sucker. We are technically 8. Nadia poured last time. She did spill a little bit, but I do love her, so I will forgive her. Let us pour. I'm gonna kind of jump back a little bit, getting close. Glassware is filthy. Dishwasher. The perks of having a dishwasher, right? No, it's not some slave I've got tied up in the basement. I actually have a dishwasher. I know. White boy from the hood got himself a dishwasher. Oh no, it's nuts. Now, pour out. Oh, that is money. I hope that looks sexy for you guys. I hope that looks sexy for you guys as what it did for me, because I was like, baby. I do like the way Maker's bottles pour. It's just, there's something sexy about it, and that is a hearty pour, so hopefully, I don't have to go anywhere tonight. Now, drink and drive, drink responsibly, don't drink and drive. This is where we're at. Okay, Maker's Mark Private Select Heinemann Sydney. Heinemann? I'm gonna call it Heinemann because, get it? Heinemann Sydney 2019. It's basically travel retail only, if that helps you guys. It is 108.4 proof. It is 54.2% ABV, non-age stated, but it is aged anywhere between 5 and 3/4 to 7 years old, just depending on how the stock works in the warehouse. Now, it is a new charred American oak cask, but it is obviously finished for an additional Kentucky winter in in a few different staves is how they basically lay it up. So let me break down that stave profile by reading it off the back of this bottle. Now, the oak finishing staves are 2 baked American pure tout, 1 seared French cuvee, which is a wine barrel, which is what I found out the other day, 2 Maker's 46, which is the French oak stave, the 3 roasted French mocha, and 2 toasted French spice. I know anyone playing at home that is living in the current world are like, what? How do you get that? This is an older bottling from 2019, obviously, so they aren't actually using those staves anymore. Well, some of them anyway, they've swapped them out. But I did cover that in my last video. Price is 120 bucks and it's 75 bucks US. And the mash bill is, which is interesting because I know we're going to cover this soon, but I've got 74% corn, 16% red winter wheat, and 10% malted barley. But before I did say it was 70% corn, 16% red winter wheat, and 14% malted barley. I did have a chat with Josh the other day and he did tell me it was 74, so I'm going to run with that. If it's wrong, blame him, not me. It's not my fault, I swear. I don't work for Maker's Mark. I just drink enough of the stuff. Blessed. Now, let us crack into these info notes and expressional infos and then kind of go from there. So, kicking it off from the top, as I covered last time, makers truly elevate their own, create your own bourbon experience by allowing you to go in and mature your own whiskey. You kind of pick a barrel, juice goes in from that barrel to another barrel that you've selected your 10 staves. You could go heavy on one, you could go heavy on another, or you can split it up like these guys have. Now you're basically creating your own bourbon, as I said, through maturation and finishing. Now those 10 French oak, we're not talking about Maker's 46. Those 10 staves slot into X Maker's Mark barrels, so they're basically reutilizing them, which is genius if you ask me, rather than grabbing a new French oak barrel. French oak, why am I on the French oak? Jesus. Rather than grabbing a new American charred oak barrel, you are utilizing just previous stock, therefore make it more sustainable. That's what we're all about at the end of the day. We want less trees cut down, but at the end of the day, new charred American oak barrels don't even count for a large amount of the amount of forests that are being cut down. So just a little piece of information for you guys there. And yeah, it's finished for an additional Kentucky winter as well. So that would be another 3 to 4 months. This time round, we have a duty-free store pick. So if you guys are wondering what Heinemann Sydney is, it's basically our not travel retail, our tax-free, duty-free store you hit at the airport. I know everyone has them. I hit one in Texas. And it's like, yes, they exist all over the globe. It's wild. It's basically where you're picking stuff up to save yourself on taxes, duties, and everything else, but you're only allowed certain limits, like in Australia, where I think 2.25 litres of alcohol. So yeah, play under those rules. And obviously this has been sleeping on the shelves since 2019. So it's good to actually kind of get some, and obviously I kind of hooked into this, but you will find out why soon enough. I'll leave you with that piece of information. Now, let us kind of hook into this. So I poured myself a good hearty pour, so it's going to be fun to crack into this. The nose is what I'm obsessed with on this. So obviously you guys can see I've hooked into this bottle before. It's been open for a minute, but it's kind of something that I got, and then talking to Australia's top whiskey taster, Dre, aka Andreas, he gave this whiskey a note of Mars bar. It's this one big Mars bar bomb. It's full of like chocolates and caramels, and you could just nose this sucker all day. And you're like, this is bliss. This is truly bliss. Now, yeah, it's just chocolate, it's caramels. Not much else can really go wrong with this, just on the nose. All right, so I also kind of gave that a good Kentucky chew. The top of that bottle's wet. I also kind of gave that a good Kentucky chew. It just gave me this good overall like tip of tongue spice coating, but it was kind of, it covered everything as well, which is interesting. So I was expecting it to focus mainly at the front, but then it kind of like worked its way all over. Relatively good time as I kind of chewed on that for a little bit longer, as I said, good old Kentucky chew, which is basically you flicking the whiskey around in your mouth, not aggressively, but basically chewing it. And it'll like interact with the saliva, open it up a little bit more, so you just don't have to proof it down at that point, because, you know, we're lazy. Not really, but we are. Kind of open up, give you a few more kind of notes, and you still got that chocolate bar that I got from that nose. It kind of carries over onto the palate there, and it's still like the chocolate and caramel. It's all just kind of, it's all happening in your mouth. You're just like, this Mars bar is like, it's there. It's amazing. So Australia's top whiskey taster has nailed that note. It's killer. Now, did I say what the viscosity was? No, I didn't. Viscosity. Pop viscosity. I've got a thin viscosity for that, but just tasting that again, I'm like, is it thin? I feel like it was on the thinner side, but I'm gonna lock in thin. Oh, damn. That's dope. Okay. And yeah, just for the finish there as well, let me kind of get a good taste. All right, so long finish. Still going, still going, still going. It's got this like toasted oakiness, and like it's very typical of the wheat to have like this wheaty softness, I think. And it kind of fades out to like this Jersey caramel kind of sweetness there as well. And I wanna go as far to say it's, from all the makers private selects I've tried, this is the most that's kind of off palate for me. Like I was not expecting to get a Mars bar out of this bottle, but when I saw Dre the other night, and I guess we may or may not have tasted some of this, he was just like Mars bar, and I'm like, I can't get that note out of my head. Maybe it's my, maybe it's his knowledge that's influencing me, but at the end of the day, I'm like, it's cracker. So yeah, I can't go wrong with that. You obviously know where we are leaning, but let me go into the bite, bar, or pass. So start from the top. It's just got this bold sweetness to it. And like, if you're a huge fan of those chocolates and caramels and everything else, it leans towards more of a dessert bourbon. That's, excuse me, that is where I like to keep my, I guess, dessert bourbons. Like, sorry, what? God. I like, as you guys know, I like my dessert bourbons like Woodford Double Oak. So this is on par with that. I might beat it. Sorry, Andy. If you're watching this, Andy, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm gonna lean more towards this, and like, but dessert bourbons. Dessert bourbons is exactly where it's at. For me, how I taste whiskey, how I enjoy whiskey, just oak, caramel, chocolate. Get it, girl. Now, next up is bold oak on the finish. Now, I like my oaky finishes, obviously being a dessert bourbon, and it kind of like, it hooks it through as well. And it's, that finish is long, and long finishes are just like, you sit there and you just enjoy it for minutes longer. You're just like, this could not get any better. Well, the finish could always be longer, but like, you don't want to be like sitting there an hour and a half later, you're like, finish. Now, on to the third and final one. It is an absolute shame that this barrel has been picked for the craft your own bourbon experience at Maker's Mark. It's not called that, but that's what I'm calling it. It's a shame it's only at travel retail, because if this was everywhere on the shelf, I would have a lot more bottles than what I have right now. And I'm like, she getting a bit low, so I need a friend to go and pick up more from Sydney Airport for me, please. If you could do that for me, that would be amazing. But that is where I'm going to leave it, and I am going to chalk this down as a buy. Yeah, if I don't finish the bottle tonight, because we're getting close and she looking juicy. So, she thick, boy. Let's get it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm super thankful that you guys spend your Wednesdays at 9 a.m. our time and whatever time US, probably Tuesday. It's Tasty Tuesday with Jay on Whiskefy. But yeah, seriously, thank you guys so much. That clap was probably loud into the microphone, so I'm gonna tone that down, but thank you. Love y'all. Hopefully y'all enjoy your Whiskey Wednesday as much as I enjoy sipping this delicious juice. Thank you, love y'all. Stay thirsty. I'm Jez.